Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. Right off the bat, I want you to visualize your own body, not just as, a rigid structure of bones and muscles, but as a walking aquarium. It's this absolutely fascinating concept from Dr. Gerald Lamole, the idea that we can safely walk around on land basically because we brought the ocean with us. Inside, our cells are constantly bathed in this salty, nutrient-rich fluid. But as you know, to keep any aquarium healthy, the water has to be continuously filtered and kept flowing, right? So today, we're unlocking the mystery of what is arguably our most underappreciated biological network, the exact system responsible for keeping your internal ocean crystal clear.
Now, what if the secret to longevity isn't in your blood, but in a hidden river inside you? It's kind of a mind-blowing question to ask. I mean, we obsess over our heart rate, our blood pressure, our cholesterol levels. But what if the secret to true longevity, vibrant energy, and disease prevention actually lies in this hidden biological river running right parallel to your veins? We're talking about a system that processes massive amounts of fluid every single day, and yet it is rarely even mentioned in your standard medical checkup.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here is our roadmap for today. First, the secret river of health. Second, anatomy without a central pump. Third, immunity and metabolic balance. Fourth, the brain's cleanup crew. Fifth, when the river clogs. And finally, how to keep it flowing.
Kicking things off with Section 1, the secret river of health, uncovering the body's hidden fluid network.
For literally centuries, the cardiovascular system has completely stolen the medical spotlight. But right alongside it, touching almost every organ and tissue in your body, is the lymphatic system. 8 to 12 liters. I want you to just pause and think about that volume. That is the massive amount of fluid the lymphatic system returns to your blood circulation every single day. See, as your blood delivers oxygen and nutrients to your tissues, fluid naturally leaks out of your capillaries. If that fluid just sat there, we would literally swell up like balloons. The lymphatic system gathers this massive volume of escaped fluid, which we call lymph, filters it, and safely transports it right back into the cardiovascular system. It is an absolutely monumental daily task.
Moving right along to Section 2, anatomy without a central pump, how lymph moves through the body. So, how does all this massive fluid transport actually happen? Well, this brilliantly illustrates the fundamental difference between our two great circulatory networks. Your cardiovascular system, that's a high-pressure closed loop. It has a massive, powerful central pump, your heart, driving the whole thing. The lymphatic system, on the other hand, is a low-pressure, open-ended, one-way street. It has absolutely no central hub to kickstart the flow, no heart of its own. Instead, it relies on entirely different physical forces to pull fluid from your tissues all the way up to your collarbones. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is seeing how this transfer happens at the microscopic level. Up at the top there, the blood capillary is leaking fluid and proteins into the interstitial space. And down below, the highly permeable, blind-ended lymphatic capillary just catches that fluid. These lymphatic vessels have overlapping endothelial cells with tiny gaps that basically act like one-way swinging doors. When the fluid pressure outside the vessel gets high enough, boom, the doors swing inward, sweeping up fluid, large proteins, and even immune cells.
Once the fluid is inside, it has a tough job. It needs to move upstream against gravity. And remember, because there's no heart to pump it, the lymphatic vessels are divided into these segmented chambers called lymphangions. You can think of them a bit like tiny sequential locks in a canal. They contain these one-way semilunar valves. The system actually relies on the rhythmic contraction of smooth muscles within the walls, combined with the physical movement of your skeletal muscles and even the pulsing of nearby arteries to manually squeeze the fluid from one chamber to the next. That's what prevents any backward flow.
All right, on to Section 3, immunity and metabolic balance, filtering pathogens and absorbing fats.
Listen, this system isn't just about moving water around. It's actually the master regulator of our biological defenses and our metabolic balance. It's a brilliant two-way street for our survival. First, it acts as a major security checkpoint. Scattered along the network are hundreds of lymph nodes, and these act as filtration centers where immune cells, like lymphocytes and macrophages, are just waiting to neutralize bacteria, viruses, and cellular trash. But here's something that might surprise you. The lymph system is also heavily involved in digestion. Specialized lymph vessels in the gut, called lacteals, are responsible for absorbing large dietary fats and fat-soluble vitamins that are literally just too big to enter the bloodstream directly.
Next up is Section 4, the brain's cleanup crew, washing away cognitive decline.
Now, this is where recent science has completely rewritten the medical textbooks. For decades, doctors were totally convinced the brain had no lymphatic system at all. Enter the glymphatic system. Think of this as the brain's highly dedicated nocturnal garbage truck. Because your brain uses an immense amount of energy, it generates a massive amount of metabolic waste. Without a way to clear this debris out, toxins would just build up and eventually destroy our neural wiring.
Let's move to this next image and see how this builds. Notice the meningeal lymphatic vessels that were recently discovered right beneath the skull. The brain actually uses its own specialized glial cells to manage fluid. And here's the really wild part. During sleep, these glial cells physically shrink in size. This creates extra space, allowing cerebral fluid to just rush in and physically power wash away toxic proteins, flushing them out through these dural lymphatic vessels and right down into the cervical lymph nodes in your neck.
Check out this staggering metric. 70% of the clearance of amyloid plaques, which by the way are the exact toxic proteins associated with Alzheimer's disease, happens during specific 15 to 30-minute REM sleep cycles. If you ever wanted a concrete biological reason for why deep sleep is absolutely non-negotiable for preventing cognitive decline, well, this is it. Your brain is literally power washing itself while you dream.
Which brings us to Section 5, when the river clogs, the consequences of stagnation.
So what exactly happens when this intricate network fails? Well, when lymphatic vessels become scarred or the flow simply stagnates, a really vicious domino effect takes over. The most visible symptom is lymphedema, where fluid pools in the tissues and causes severe swelling. But honestly, the hidden dangers are even worse. A stagnant system means toxins and inflammatory markers just linger in your body, leading to chronic inflammation. In the brain, as we just saw, failing to clear that waste is heavily linked to neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. And in the gut, a leaky or sluggish lymph system means vital proteins and dietary fats are poorly absorbed, totally disrupting your metabolism.
Let's move to Section 6, how to keep it flowing, actionable steps for lymphatic health.
This brings us to our final and definitely most empowering section, translating all this complex physiology into simple, daily longevity habits. Because your lymphatic system lacks a central pump, you are the pump. First up, deep diaphragmatic breathing. Your diaphragm basically acts as a massive vacuum. When you take deep, coordinated breaths, it creates negative pressure in your chest that literally sucks lymph fluid upward. Second, muscle contraction. Every single time you exercise or even just move around, your skeletal muscles squeeze those lymph vessels, pushing fluid right through those one-way valves. And third, this one is fascinating. Researchers have actually found that sleeping on your side optimizes that lymphatic clearance in your brain far better than sleeping on your back.
Now, clinical treatments do exist as well. For over a century, osteopathic physicians have utilized what they call lymphatic pump treatments. By applying specific rhythmic pressure to the chest or abdomen while a patient breathes deeply, practitioners can actually manually mobilize white blood cells and significantly increase lymphatic flow. It's pretty amazing proof that mechanical movement is directly physically tied to immune function. So, the crucial point is captured beautifully in this quote by Dr. Gerald Lamole, the exact same idea we started our journey with today. The human body is somewhat like a walking aquarium. We brought the ocean with us. You are a walking aquarium. Your overall health, your immunity, your brain's clarity, and ultimately your longevity, they don't just rely on what you feed your cells. They rely on how effectively you clean the water those cells live in. Which leaves us with one final provocative thought. The power to optimize this entire system is literally in your hands, your breath, and your daily movement. So, what will you do today to get your secret river flowing? Take a deep breath, go for a walk, and truly harness this incredible biology inside you. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.